Right, Daily Guide starts this morning and says that Yoko chases a Dakun over 40 million cedi bust cash. NDC cries over $15 billion Chinese deal, and this election coming, Nana assures. Fetish priest warned Paris Galamseyers. The Ghanaian Times says dual citizenship law to change to allow dual citizens to hold public office. That's the story. One key one is President turns on FPSO John Kufuor for oil production offshore Cape 3 Point today. That's a big story we take a look at. And child beggars invade Accra. That's on the front page of the Daily Graphic. FPSO J. Kufuor to be commissioned today, and Ghana misses digital migration deadline again. The Today newspaper says danger looms. People's walk on collapsed bridge to school. And the Independent says 3 billion cedi chop hits Ghana Education Service. The Statesman, don't fight with MPs. Preston cautions MMDCs. The Business Finder says economy expands by 8 billion cedis in the first quarter of 2017. My guest this morning, to my extreme left, former member of parliament for the Ablekuma Central constituency, a member of the NDC communication team, Alhaji Halidu Haruna. Good morning.
Former parliamentary candidate.
Okay, all right, former parliamentary candidate. All right,
okay. To see me there.
Former, yeah, sorry, I missed that. I'm grateful. Grateful for your time this morning.
Thanks.
And then he is the Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, a member of the MPP communication team, Eric Amwako-Chum. Good morning, too.
Good morning, Bright.
You're doing great.
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great, too. Thanks so much for your time. Let's start this morning with this story. Quite an interesting one. Here we are, a decade of oil discovery. We're told that FPSO J. Kufuor is to be commissioned today. Oil production is expected to start ahead of time. Other newspapers, I guess, the BNFT also has that same story. We're told that a quick look at the BNFT story says that President Akufo-Addo will today turn on the valves on the floating production, storage and offloading FPSO John Ejiokum Kufuor to signify the beginning of oil exploration. And that's some good news. We are told that, of course, in commercial quantities, Italy's ENI and Swiss oil trader Vitol hold the largest stake in the project, while the GNPC has combined carried and participating interest of 20% in the field situated approximately 57 kilometers off Cape 3 Point. And energy experts have projected that the project could raise Ghana's oil output to around 200,000 barrels per day, given the output from 10 and Jubilee oil and gas fields. Gas production from all three fields could also hit the 300 million standard cubic feet mark. So some good news there for Ghana's economy as far as energy is concerned. Eric, let me start with you. 10 years of oil production, can we count the benefits?
Thank you, Bright, and good morning to all our viewers here. And then, of course, my friend, Alhaji. We haven't met for a while, but we've been on the opposite side for a while, living when they were on the other side and we were in opposition. But he's looking well. I think that the MPP administration actually is good for people like Alhaji.
Okay, the economy is good for him.
It's good for him. He's looking extremely well, you know, nice, tailored apparel and all that. Anyway, we've been trying to develop a petrochemical industry over a period. And I think that thanks to the ingenuity and the vision of President Kufuor, Ghana actually found oil in commercial quantities. And that from that period up till today, I think that in terms of our development, we have, I would say, grown in leaps and bounds. I think you asked the question as to if there has been some kind of commensurate impact in terms of contribution of what you call oil and gas on our economy. I think that is something that is still, the jury is still out. However, having the president today commission a project of this nature basically also speaks to the fact that we are growing in terms of our quest to be energy sufficient, and the fact that we are going to have both oil and gas, and the gas essentially is going to be used to power our thermal plants. I mean, it's a step in the right direction. So, I mean, we're making strides as a people, and I think that's something that we need to essentially. I hear that GNPC, which basically holds government stake, has 15%.
Right.
And my view is that we have another opportunity to increase our stake to 20% by another 5%. My view is that we should start making attempts to essentially increase our stake so that the sort of benefits that accrues to the people of this country becomes a bit more significant. But now, that notwithstanding, I think for a preliminary statement, there's not much to. I hear some of our friends in the NDC making comments alluding to the fact that the MPP administration is taking credit for this project. I mean, I find it a bit laughable. We're supposed to be running a democracy here. And governance, like we all say, it's a continuum. I mean, and when it actually suits the NDC, they will go back as far as 1992 to claim plaudits for certain projects that were initiated under them. But I feel that really that is a non-starter. I mean, the country has to continue. We have to govern this country. And in any case, the NPP administration has been in power for the last 6, maximum 7 months. And I'm sure that there are certain things that had to be done as an administration to make sure that this day will come. I mean, so this whole, I call it pedestrian arguments as to who initiated what and all of those things. Really, for me, it's neither here nor there. We have to get to a point where the national interest becomes the key focus, you know, the focal point of our conversations. The moment you start bringing politics into it, then it always debases the argument, and then it brings out this whole equalization that happens all the time. So there are a plethora of examples that I can give. I mean, there was this George Bush Highway. There were all other projects that was initiated under President Kufuor. The Bui Dam, for instance, was gone. The President Mahama went to commission it. You understand? So let's move away from that conversation. I mean, after almost 20-something years of this current dispensation, we need to be able to, I mean, up the ante a little bit and elevate the discourse rather than saying that, oh, don't take credit for this, don't do that. But the point is that the president is doing his job, and the president is focused on essentially prosecuting the mandate that the people of Ghana has given him.
You may not have, I don't know if you have the information, but the other issue is that the former president was not invited to this commission. Are you aware of anything like that?
Well, I am not privy to that. But the point is that and that's what I'm saying, that some of these things are a bit petty. I mean, if there's some kind of convention that when such things of this nature is happening, you are supposed to unnecessarily
as a way of credit,
or if there's some kind
I saw Professor Mills invite Mr. Kufuor to the commissioner of the Malam interchange. It was such a beautiful scene.
That's what I'm saying, that if there's a convention or some kind of protocol that suggests that when some things of this nature is happening, you're necessarily supposed to
invite the former.
Let's bring it to the fore. Okay. But for me, really, it doesn't really matter. I mean, because as we speak, I'm sure that there's going to be members of maybe the Parliamentary Select Committee who are represent the opposition and all of those who have. So really, it's neither here nor there. And we need to look at it from even a Ghanaian perspective. It is not an MPP project. It's a national project. Okay. It's a Ghana project. Right. So
I'm grateful. I'll come back to you for us to look at the fact that we're told that the associated gas from the facility will be re-injected until an ORF facility that will take and make use of the gas is completed. But let me go to Alhaji first. Alhaji, your initial comments. 10 years on, we are exploring oil, can we say that we have benefited from it?
Well, thank you very much, Bright. And let me say good morning to Actually Voice and my good friend here. From his opening remarks, he seems to be suggesting that the government of MPP is doing well, and that is why some of us are doing good. I think that all those who knows me knows that
you've always looked good,
it will not take the MPP to actually make my life better. I know God is always in control, so that's just by the way. But Bright, my response would be yes and no. Yes, in the sense that yes, there are some structures that we have been able to put up as a result of the revenue that we have received from the oil. But as to whether that has impacted on the life of the people is another matter. Now, I sit here as a Ghanaian, 10 years after the commercial quantity of oil has been drilled from Ghana. And sometimes the feel of it, you hardly have the feel of that. Whether, in fact, sometimes citizens of this country do even forget that we have
oil,
something we call oil, because they hardly have that feeling that the impact of it from there. But you see, listening to Eric, he talks about pettiness, people wanted credit, etc. From his initial comment, he actually credited John Achikun Kufuor.
Yeah, but we are talking about 10 years of the oil find.
Commercialization of our oil.
But his government found oil.
No,
he started with the GFP's way back under Mr.
And
Rollins.
good governance suggests that at least you acknowledge the good work of your predecessor, because when you are inheriting, you inherit the asset and the liabilities. Now, government is quick to point out the liabilities, but when the assets are available, they wouldn't want to. They want to actually conceal that. It doesn't speak well of us as a people. And if indeed we are being told that His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa is an honest person, then he must begin to be acknowledging and accepting the fact that yes, government, that he came into government, inherited asset and as well as the liabilities. Because just this morning in the newspapers, you were mentioning something about 40 million transferred, that Iuku is on the neck of after what MD, even though I see that story as a concocted story, and sometimes when they are in heat, they would want to throw in something just to try to blame a previous government. But you see, we voted for you to manage the affairs of this country. It does not matter, and sometimes the justification that comes, oh, it happens in the past, it's sometimes strange. But in the past, if the people of this country are comfortable with what was happening or what were happening in the past, they wouldn't have even looked at your direction. They changed because they were expecting you to come and do better. Then going back to refer to the past means that you are insulting them. You are telling them that you people are not intelligent for granting us the opportunity to actually be in charge. So let's be serious. This oil matter, the minority is just simply saying that, look, the ENI project, you recall when a delegation from Italy came to this country, the minority held a press conference and claimed that this contract signed by the John Mahama administration with ENI was actually shrouded in secrecy, corruption, all kinds of allegations. Today, thank God, they are in charge. And I expect them to be telling the people of this country whether indeed what Nana Addo Dankwa is going to commission today, he is going to actually commission a corrupt contract signed by the previous government, something that has been signed. They claim they were actually raising those issues. And I'm saying that once they still stand by those issues, I at least expect the president to even, at least he should delve into them, unravel whether indeed what the allegation made by the minority is true or not.
At that time, minority at that time.
The minority at that time. Chairman Sabonso addressed the press conference. I remember very well. And I'm saying that, you see, the pettiness, sometimes because we want power, we raise issues, and there are no basis to raise them. They are not factual. But we believe that, well, let's throw it in there. Those who are gullible will accept it, and they will make a decision against the government of the day.
If the then minority, perhaps after raising those concerns, did their work and found out that perhaps there was nothing untoward with the contract, is there anything wrong about it?
Then they all
but I think that my friend here is digressing, because that is really not the basis for this conversation.
To tell us that, well, the issues that we raised against John Mahama administration in respect of this particular contract wasn't actually true. Those issues are not factual, and we got it wrong. That is decency in politics. So for me, I think that is a good news, and we've always maintained that our focus as NDC is to see the development of Ghana. We will not do anything, or we will not sacrifice the interests of this country on the altar of personal interest. We will not do that. And today, history, time is just vindicating our position. The president is going to open the tap.
FPSOJ Kufuor.
We recognize the role played by John Ajekum Kufuor. We did, by at least this particular project. We started it, we brought it in. It tells you that we believe in sharing the glories. We are not hypocrites. And so I just want to encourage him that when he is speaking, he should at least recognize the contributions of others. And that is where your contribution will also be recognized.
And before you go off, so the key thing is that 10 years on, can we say that we have benefited from oil?
As we speak now, when you take the energy sector, you look at it critically. I indicated to you earlier on that the Atuabo gas, the gas we are getting from Atuabo is coming from at least the oil field that we are drilling the oil. If we were not to have the oil, we wouldn't have been able to get the gas to power most of our plants. And because we have gas, it has also opened up where we were able to get more plants to run and power our energy sector. So certainly, once we've been able to get those that facility as a result of our oil, the availability of oil, we have benefited from it.
Is that all we could have done? Because we had flared gas for, I mean, perhaps our planning had not been that good, so that we had to flare gas for a very long time, whilst we were in crisis, which we could have used. So is that something that we can say we did right?
I don't think so, but I think that moving forward, you realize that during the vetting of the energy minister, he did accuse the government of John Mahama for buying the RSFO, and he claims that the recommendation was that we should buy one, but the John Mahama administration went ahead to buy 3. Now here we are saying that this gas that we'll be getting from this field,
the new field,
will be actually flaring.
For now we have to flare gas, reinject them back
exactly, because we do not
store that ORF system.
So you see, when a government that has vision is focused and looking at the way forward, so that at least this kind of things will be prevented. Others were then accusing the government of corrupt conduct, because instead of 2, you are buying 3, or instead of 1, you are buying 2. Is it wrong to have more, so that at least believing that there will be more gas that will be coming from some of the oil fields?
Is it right?
Okay, Eric,
just a quick reaction.
Go ahead.
You see, that should be an indictment of the NDC administration that just left power. Now, I mean, they started this project. We've had issues with N-Gas, for instance, where they have threatened to cut, and they have actually gone on some occasions to actually cut gas onto us. So that would tell you the sort of planning and sort of management that actually went into it. But that notwithstanding, you asked the question about if we have benefited. The only government that has benefited from the oil process in terms of commercial quantities is an NDC government. You know, and over the period, I can give you a plethora of things. If you look at what the public PIAC, right, and what they basically, the reports that they have brought about in the last 5 to 6 years as to what exactly we've used the oil money for, you find it there. There's the same proceeds from the oil revenues that was used to do the infamous bus branding and all of those things, where there are other places where you go and there are phantom projects. They're supposed to have been done with oil proceeds, and you go there and the projects are not there. They're non-existent. And all of these things can be found in the PIAC report. But the point is that if we, as a new administration, right, we have a mandate, and that this is not about making excuses or anything. But if there's any issue in relation to what we have used our oil monies for, and the fact that Ghanaians do not seem to have benefit or don't feel the impact, then that blame should go to the NDC administration of John Mahama and President Mills, the late President Mills. So as we speak, I think that we have a vision, and the President has expressed it even before we came into power, whilst he was flag bearer, to say that the vision of the MPP administration is to develop not just the energy sector, but to develop a petrochemical industry so that it will take advantage of the other ancillary benefits that we should be able to derive from the discovery of oil. And that is exactly what we intend to do. So for me, this whole conversation about you were meant to buy 2 or 3 and all this is neither here nor there. These are issues to do.
Important.
Listen,
because
these are issues to do.
Say that we were going to re-inject gas because we don't have that ORF facility.
But so is it the case that my friend here is saying that because there was criticism from the then minority, the NDC administration decided not to do the needful? Is that the case? No. The point is that we knew, I mean, there was definitely some kind of gestation period for this project, right? We knew that this project by July 2017, the project was going to come upstream, right? So as far as I'm concerned, with my basic project management knowledge, right, we shouldn't be flaring gas. And even what have we been doing with the gas that we've been we're getting from the Atuaba in the past? You know, that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying, yes. So it is an indictment on an administration that essentially could not manage the energy sector properly. Now, in terms, you could make a case for they had different priorities. You know what I'm saying? But you can't sit here and now feign almost ignorance or feign that you had absolutely no role in where we find ourselves here today. Now, the case of the impact on the economy and what the aggregate Ghanaian will feel as the discovery of oil, the jury's out. The NDC administration should come out and say that, okay, in the last 8 years when we had the benefit of the revenue from the oil, this is exactly the things that we did, right? And then I'm sure that they will come back with all these things about, okay, we put it there, we put it there. And then we also juxtapose that against the PIAC report. You know what I'm saying? So as far as I'm concerned, the conversation can be had as to what or how best we should be able to execute the monies that we make from, or the oil revenues that accrues to us. We can have that conversation. I believe, for instance, that maybe we are spreading it a bit too thin, right? We should have some focus in terms of priority projects that we want to use the monies for, so that it will become monuments or monumental for everybody to see that, okay, this is an oil project, rather than spreading it. But that's a personal opinion. Right. But let's have a proper conversation about it. But as to the impact on the average Ghanaian, I think that we can ask the average Ghanaian.
But Bright, you see,
a quick one.
It's important that we appreciate the way the oil money is distributed. We have a certain percentage being a budget support.
Right, every year.
Every year. And then a certain percentage goes into what we call stabilization fund. Another percentage goes into the heritage fund. So the budget support one, certainly, it encompasses the project that government would want to do within a year when you read the budget. So you will not specifically be able to have something to say that this one, it is the oil money that has been used for. You understand? Because that percentage is supporting the entire budget of government. So if my good friend sits here and is talking this way, then certainly some few years to come, same questions will be asked. So it's important that we point out.
No, but that's why I'm saying that we should have a conversation as to what we want to do.
I'm saying that you have a situation where the MPP, on assumption of power, were proposing to actually even go to touch the heritage fund. To support,
but that was an opinion. That was an opinion of an individual, and that has been debunked.
And then the citizen of this country, Ghanaians, said no, that is meant for the future generation. So you cannot do that. So they decided to just call back. But the point I want to make here is that, you see, when we are talking, we must actually face the fact. You cannot, as we speak now, to say that this particular project actually money that came from the oil fund, oil money, was used to get this project, because it supported the entire budget. And once we have water projects in certain areas of our country, we have roads being constructed, etc. All these are some monies that we have gotten from.
But your administration must apply some of the money. And he raised, for instance, the bus branding thing and said that, for instance, it was needless. And so
it's not just that.
It is not even. It has not been established that the money used for the bus branding is coming from the oil money. It has not been established.
Where did you get the money from? Where was it from?
Report. That the former minority leader was able to pick that. And so it's really
right. Why did you actually see the report yourself?
No, the PAC report is out there. You can Google it. It's out there.
I mean, politics. A lot of things happens in politics, so you don't have to trust whatever we put out there. There's only few people who are really interested in being honest with the people of this country. Few politicians.
You're suggesting that politicians are dishonest?
Most.
I see.
Most. And sometimes I get even frustrated when I listen to some.
I'm moving on. The Ghanaian Times this morning says, minority cautions government against energy bond. The story says the minority in parliament is claiming that the energy sector levy, which is expected to amortize that sector's debt between 3 and 5 years, will now be repaid in 15 years if the government goes ahead to issue its planned energy sector bond. They contended that in line with the commitment to settle the debt in at most 5 years, the NDC government made provisions of sunset clauses which were aimed at terminating the levies upon completion of payment within the stipulated time. Government in April announced that it will issue a 15-year bond to cater for the $2.4 billion debt hanging around the neck of the government. There is a $2.4 billion debt that is hanging over the neck of state agents, state-owned enterprises. What we're going to do is to issue a 15-year long-term bond to deal with this debt. That's the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, talking there. And this is what has attracted concerns from the minority. Eric, let me start once again with you. The minority's concern is that the energy sector levy was put in place for just 5 years to clear the debt. Now, they are claiming that government intends to use that levy to clear as a collateral for a $2.4 billion fund in order to clear the energy debt. And that is for 15 years. So their worry is that, well, it is for 4 years as originally put in place, but we're going to pay the levy for 15 years and they are not worried about, they are disturbed about it. Is that a legitimate concern?
I mean, this intervention from the minority is akin to, you know, when we were children, we used to read the Aesop fables, where there was this little child who was a shepherd boy, who was always crying wolf, you know, and then the time that the actual wolf came, nobody actually took him seriously. I think that the NDC, going into opposition, have decided that regardless of what it is, even if it has merit or has no basis, they still want to comment about it. Listen, how long has this energy sector levy been in place in the first place? You understand? Quite a number of years. However, we still have the various entities in the energy sector bedeviled with huge debts. You understand? And this has been a proposition from the Vice President that maybe this is what we should do to be able to, one, save the various stakeholders in the energy sector and at least give them some comfort to be able to also reinvest and then make our energy sector sustainable. Now, so you can have a conversation, and then, like I always say, the conversation now always moves away from the merits of this particular proposition to the fact that, like Alhaji Alidu was saying that, because when we were in opposition, there were certain comments from certain quarters that maybe the NPP was going to, and even that, if you actually put them to street proof, there's nowhere that the energy sector levy itself was mentioned as we are going to scrap it. You understand what I'm saying? You can find out who said what. You understand what I'm saying? Now, even that, there's been an indication, there's been commitment from our side that since we've come, we've reduced taxes on in the energy sector. We've done that. And the conversation is that to be able to make these organizations in the sector sustainable, right, let's probably go out there, right, and float these bonds and make sure that in the next few years, these companies will be self-reliant, will be sustainable, they can reinvest into the sector because this is a high capital-intensive sector. You understand? So it's a conversation at the same time. Now, if anything of that nature would happen in the first place, I think that the NDC are even jumping the gun. There's the process that it would go through, and you can now have a proper intellectual debate as to the merits and demerits. So this whole thing about almost poo-pooing everything that government suggests and then make it like, okay, we are crying wolf. At one point in time, Ghanaians will find you really almost irrelevant as a minority. I know that opposition can be difficult. You would think that the only way you can remain relevant is to basically find something to say and criticize. But the reality of it is that everything that you say, and he alluded to the fact that he doesn't think that politicians, I am a politician, I think that I have integrity, that everything that you say and do,
most of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying, everything that you say or do has to be anchored in some kind of values and principles. And this is where the NDC administration from time immemorial falls short. You understand what I'm saying? Even when we come to issues with bond and all of those things, these administration have dealt with this and have used bonds as a basis to try and restructure the economy, our debt and everything. The moment they go into opposition, it becomes like they've seen some, we call it Kaka Motobi, that there's something that they've not even heard about. And for me, I find that
wasn't good, and so
I find that disingenuous to say the least. I mean, if I'm being charitable to them. So the point is that I would expect that the conversation will be about, as an NDC minority and as minority leader, this is my alternative to dealing with the debt issue. Because Ghanaians are aware that this administration, at the last 8 years, were in power. They had an opportunity.
They said that this debt can be paid in 4 years and not 15 years.
But that's what I'm saying, that if they say it can be paid in 4 years, I would expect that the modalities and the alternatives and how it would be done or how that is going to transpire should be the basis for the conversation. It shouldn't be saying...
George Napot, the Deputy Energy Minister, the last payment was in December where government paid about 160 million cedis of the debt from the energy, from ESLA. So you extend it to 15 years. The minority thinks that really that isn't
Do you know that a typical example is what has happened to the toll recovery?
Right. We're still paying
we're still paying it now. For every year, the BDCs will come out and say that government still owes us money. Is that not the case? Right? And who was at the helms of affairs in this country? It was the NDC under President Mahama and the late President Mills. Well, what I'm saying is that if they have alternatives, go out there by all means. This is a democracy. We are running a democracy here. Go out there by all means and express those alternatives. Rather than saying that, because the Vice President has proposed that this is what we should do or this is what he deems appropriate at this time, Then you say, no, we can pay it in 4 years. However, you haven't detailed exactly what needs to be done or what you would have done. In any case, if they were able to do it, then the argument, the most logical argument is that why weren't they able to do it and fix that energy sector?
We're not yet out of the 4 years.
Exactly my point. But the thing is that what is the basis? If you give me a graph as to the last 3-4 years, what is the indication that if we are even not even out of the woods yet, in the next 2 years, we'll be able to cover the debt?
Alhaji, so Eric says that, well, if the minorities against the ESLA being extended to 15 years, you should have another alternative to pay the debt, because he said it's crippling.
I think that Eric is not actually understanding the position of the minority, and he's not appreciating what the minority.
So that's why you're here. You have to explain.
Let me say this: that the minority, we are a minority, and we are very responsible because we've been in power before, and we are out of power, and we will not be reckless as they used to whilst in minority, and seems to be opposing for the opposing sake. We will not do that. Ours is just to raise the legitimate concerns for the people of this country to be able to understand and appreciate the issues. What are the issues? We have introduced energy sector levy with the aim of paying off what we call energy legacy debt from the energy sector, 2.4 million. And it was estimated, and from his submission, he said that the energy sector levy has been with us for so many years. No. This levy was introduced in 2016, early 2016. So certainly he will not be
referring to the toll levy.
No, I just used it as an example. What I'm saying is that
the toll levy was
the toll levy as an
end part of his submission. But at least the energy sector levy, he made reference to its longevity, and I'm saying that it just last 2016 that the energy sector levy was introduced, and it was introduced. In fact, it was introduced during even election year, 2016, and many, including some of us, think that, oh, the people will certainly have concern and will complain. And that was when the MPP then said that no, when they get the opportunity, if God willing they get the opportunity, they will scrap off that energy sector levy because it has actually raised the cost of electricity in this country. And that was the basis of their promise. Now, this energy sector levy was introduced to pay for the debt for 4 years, estimated to clear the debt for 4 years. The MPP government is saying that, look, we want to use the money as a collateral to go for a bond which will last for 15 years. And we are saying that you are shortchanging the people of this country, because after 4 years, the energy sector levy would have no use in our books again. We need to scrap it. And it will come with some relief for the people of this country. Now, if you decide to expand it or increase it to 15 years, using that money as a collateral, certainly you are not doing any good to the people of this country. And first of all, you've promised to even scrap it on assumption of office. You didn't do that. Now, instead of you to allow the period to lapse and be able to pay the debt as when the money accrue, you are saying that you are using that money as collateral to go for money and pay off the debt. But the Ghanaian public will be paying for almost 15 years. You are not doing any good to them. So we are only cautioning you that, look, you have made a promise to scrap off the energy sector levy. You haven't been able to do that. It's still in our books, and it's paying off the debt, which is actually militating against the development and expansion of the energy sector. We agree. It is actually a critical area that we need to look at. But we are saying that that method will not kneel to the benefit of the Ghanaian.
But so what is that? That's what I'm saying.
So his argument is that you don't have an alternative, or you still insist that.
But that is an alternative. We created it, and so we are pointing out to the Ghanaian public that yes, we introduce it for a certain period, so that it will go off. And
then what would happen after the 4 years? And
the electricity bills will come down, so that you can get that cushioning which you require. And they promise you that they will come and scrap it off on assumption of power. They didn't do that. And now they are saying that they are going to expand it or increase it to 15 years. And you continue paying for 15 years instead of the 4 years. You think that a responsible political party should not point out this to the people of Ghana?
Let me get John Hughes in there. Let's check some comments that have just come in with these two issues so far we have spoken about, and then we can touch on governments dealing with issue to get Rupali. Johnny, good morning once again.
Morning, Bright. Thank you very much indeed. And some of your messages on social media. WhatsApp says, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The minority in Parliament must be responsible and stop the needless criticism of the good projects of the government. Yeah, Pepra, a free in Fiase. And good morning. It's my birthday today and grateful to God. You guys have made my day this morning. God bless you and I'm loving the show. Happy birthday, brother. And good morning, Senior Bright and your team. I must commend you guys are doing well. I totally agree with you. Why won't they name the said journalists on the NADMO payroll? MPP should stop complaining and fix our unemployment issues. Ibrahim from Dansoman. TV3, you're the best station in Ghana. Keep it up. I really enjoy your program. And today, Ama, you're looking beautiful by Prince Esaba Leviscon. Please, good morning. I like your motivation, Pa. Keep the fire burning. Janet Asari from Kumasi. Good morning, TV3. I think it's an indication of our Ghanaian. Okay, so we'll get back to this one. Good morning, TV3. You guys are doing great work for Mother Ghana. You always lock me up until the end of your program. But please tell President Nana Akufo-Addo the rain is in and we, the cocoa farmers, need the blackboard disease control chemicals to control the disease. JM gives us gave us all that last year for free. And Ben from Nankese. Well, hello, good morning, New Day team. Ghana is a comic country. Our leaders stand on platforms and make funny comments and decisions. AMA wants to exhume bodies buried without permit. After all the permit on our buildings, they seem not satisfied. It's better for them to prevent mistakes than to wait for the mistakes to occur. Ghana is joking. Felix Tre, Sapient and Ho sent that one. In fact, the knee-jerk reaction minority is making a lot of noise, which has not yielded any positive results. We're tired and they should allow the government to fix what they have broken. From Abdullah Abdulrazak, General Lamshegun Tamale. Oh, politicians are killing us for their stomachs. We were told that the businesses are dying because of high utility tariff in electricity, water, and fuel. But today, nobody's talking about it again. They rather talk about bond, corruption, galamsey. We're watching. 4 years will come soon. From Stephen Kwame Gaju in Dansoman. Anytime I hear MPP communicators lamenting, I feel embarrassed. Why? 7 months into government, no arrest, no punishment against the perceived corrupt officials. If they can't, they should spare us. Abba, send that one. Good morning, lovely people. I really like you guys, the way you organize your program at the TV station. I heard you this morning talking about NATO, but let me tell you the truth. Politics has spoiled our country, Ghana, because what the politicians think is their government can change within 4 to 8 years. So they don't sacrifice for the country, but to make money within those periods. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Kojo Sakodi at Obuasi in the Ashanti region. And when will politicians in Ghana take us serious? 10 years on, has the oil benefited us? They won't answer, but attack one another. Yao Achimota. I don't agree with the NDC communicator. Did he want the current administration to abrogate the FPSO contract? Father K from Peto sent that one. And Peter in Kumasi sent a very long one here. It says, well, you and your viewers, I have good morning to you, New Day. A poem for all Ghanaians titled In the Name of Ghana. So in the name of Ghana, our political leaders pretend to show empathy. They make fool of us, their followers, for some to curse God Almighty. We are always in a dilemma whenever we go on our knees to pray. Even some of our religious leaders confuse us to forget what they say. I don't know whether I should pray and thank God or put him before him my petitions. I don't know if I should pray for our labors or institutions. I side with Obama by acknowledging that we need institutions that are strong. But I beg to differ that for strong institutions, we have rather the people in it who are wrong. It is for this reason that I blame the sitting and all past governments, claiming they have worked yet are gathering through public procurements. In the name of Ghana, in any manner. I sometimes ask that why do politicians become millionaires just overnight? The opposition today will condemn, but when they come in power, they also don't do right. Some senators only yell, yeah, yeah, not to be paid, but only few make sense. Winner takes all is the slogan of the day, which at times is nonsense. At exhibitions, they say we should patronize homemade. At the same place, the minister buys her foreign pomade. Where is the Ghana in them? Where is the Ghana in you two? What are also ready to do? The land is not barren, but our lifestyle is boring. And obviously bright.
Yeah.
The folks
it's a long one there.
Somebody wrote a poem right. There. He's not happy with the politicians. They promise one thing and they do another thing.
Alaji said some of them are dishonest.
Were you expecting the contract to have been cancelled, the FPSO? Somebody's asking.
No, but to investigate what they were accusing the previous government of, so that at least if indeed the issues they raised were true, then
but you see, Alaji can be so inconsistent.
As far as I'm concerned, I know that there's absolutely
just now. There's a news item that Yoko is investigating a Wadako. Now you say that no, it's a contracted story. One case, you say we should investigate. When they also investigate, you say no.
When it comes to that issue, I will talk about it. The issue of transferring of 40 million into an account in Flagstaff. You don't mention the account, and yet you are accusing.
My point is,
let's wrap up. We have just about 6 more minutes to go. The Ghanaian Times says dual citizenship law to change. Government has expressed its readiness to provide the necessary resources to the Electoral Commission to enable it implement representation of the People's Amendment Law in future elections. The law, which seeks to provide the opportunity for Ghanaians living abroad to participate in elections, was passed by Parliament 12 years ago. The EC is unable to implement it due to inadequate resources. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo yesterday expressed government's commitment to put in the necessary support to enable the people outside to vote. Eric, this is good news for diasporans who met in Accra yesterday.
Yes, I mean, having been a former diaspora, and then I've been in circles where this conversation has raged, this debate has raged on as to what needs to be done. And I also feel that if we have a constitution, we can't sort of pick and choose what we want to implement and not implement. And it is the right of every Ghanaian living everywhere. Is that not what it says? To have an input into what happens in this country in terms of our democratic dispensation. So the initial argument has always been, or refrain has always been, that the EC does not have the needed resources to be able to implement that. And this is a clear commitment from government to support the Electoral Commission to make sure that that is implemented. Now, we look at the sort of contribution that comes from our brothers and sisters in the diaspora in terms of even the remittances and all of those things, and it's huge. And apart from that, I think that, I mean, just even touching on the diasporan seminar, I wasn't there, but even if you look at the basis for that, it's not just people doing remittances into this country, but we have Ghanaians out there who have of high international repute in terms of various spheres of their endeavors. And this is something that we need to do to give them some kind of, I'll call it, impetus to come home and also be motivated that, I mean, whilst they're contributing to the sustenance of the economy, also they also have a right to be heard in terms of voting for who becomes president. And not even, there's also even that conversation about looking at our dual citizenship law, for instance, and allowing them to even hold public offices. I mean, there are a plethora of examples in other countries where you can actually do the same. And I think that over here, the conversation has always been that it looks like you're holding double allegiances to different countries. So, I mean, these are things that after this number of years running our constitution and implementing it, we can also probably have a think about and say, okay, are we unlawfully, or are we probably disenfranchising a certain chunk of the Ghanaian population? Or are we, by dint of holding on to this particular view, stopping well-meaning Ghanaians who have certain key skills and expertise coming back to basically help with the development agenda?
Okay.
So these are things that we can always judge about. But I am more convinced that with the conviction of the president and the commitment that the president wants to support the EC to do that, we wouldn't have any excuses. And I always say that, listen, if we are going to do this democracy thing, let's do it well. Let's not basically do it half and half and basically take things that are conducive for us and then leave the rest.
Okay. Alhaji, so inadequate resources, you know the EC challenges, and we're being said that get those outside to vote. Which way do we go?
Right. When we look at the issues confronting us as a nation, is making money available for people to vote, those who are staying outside to vote, compared to providing potable water, providing infrastructure for school children, and making sure that you have proper drain system for areas that are always flooded. Which one is critical? Which one what do you think?
No, but
I think that it's important.
Democracy is expensive.
You see, yes, democracy is expensive. Those who are staying outside, anytime we are voting, those who have found themselves in Ghana, registered, normally during voting, they come back to vote. Now, as a democratic country, I agree, democracy is expensive, but it's important that we should have our priority right.
You're not worried about law we have passed and we can't implement it?
Law passed by one-sided parliament.
It is still a law.
What does the one-sided parliament
look
where
like?
most Ghanaians even opposed.
Alhaji, but it is once
passed.
This
is the same.
I have difficulty in appreciating the position by His Excellency the President saying that his government will engage the EC. Engaging the EC is not supposed to be controlled or influenced by anybody. The president, minister, or any other person. You have no right. Now, the EC, you cannot say that as executive, you would want to go and engage the EC and that you want to ensure that they implement this and what. You have no right under our constitution to do that. It's an independent body. If the EC deem it fit, per their own schedules, things that they will be able to do it, they should be sending proposals that we need
ask for the money to
ask for the money. But for the president to tell us that his government is going to engage, then it means that he wants to like impose some kind of
the president was speaking at a platform that basically had these concerns. He was at a diaspora
amendment
platform.
To get those who have double allegiance to hold
also
I have a public to hold public office. I have a problem with it. Public office. You have issues of security.
No, but now, that happens otherwise. We are not the only country that does that.
If I'm a citizen of the United States as well as a citizen of Ghana, I am saying that I cherish my country. I will not give out my nationality to any other country. Ghana is where I belong. I won't do that. If by economic reasons or other things you decide to do that, stay there. Why would you want to come and then have double allegiance and in terms of loyalty? When something happens, then you can run.
I think one of your member of parliament for I think Zabzugu's case has been thrown out by the court.
Well, some people made the allegation. Some people made the allegation, and then but that is why the Abu Sakandi was convicted.
No, but the point is that it's very almost.
No, but I have difficulties
when the conversation is not about allegiance.
It's
the conversation, listen, or you're talking about security, right? Ghana is not an island. there are countries, even in the UK, for instance.
You say we should
you
learn from others.
No, that's what we can learn from others.
So you mean because Ghana is an island, we don't have privacy?
Okay,
no, but we can. But
we don't have privacy.
That argument, it does not hold.
Erica Makuchu is Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, a member of the NPP Communication. Eric, grateful for your Thursday morning.
Thank you.
And then Alhaji Halidu-Haruna, a former parliamentary candidate for the Ablekuma Central constituency. I made him a former MP some few hours ago.
Your wish
okay.
is embraced.
Do you still want to go to Parliament?
Oh, of course.
All right. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for your time.